Hey there everybody, it's Rick Hughes here with AirgunWeb, where we tell you the facts, not fluff. And today's video is one I think you're gonna like. We're gonna look at slugs versus pellets. Stay with us. All right, before we get started, I'd like to say thank you to Pyramid Air for sponsoring AirgunWeb in these videos. When you're looking to get your next air gun, looking to get your next batch of supplies, want to go have some fun in the backyard, or you want to go hunting out in the field, definitely do so at www.pyramidair.com. They are your airgun experts and they're going to take good care of you. So let's go ahead and get started. So what are we doing here? First of all, what are we shooting? We have got the Arms S510 Ultimate Sporter regulated. This is the XS version in .22 caliber. One of my favorite guns, hands down, just awesome. On top, we have got the Frontier first focal plane with zero stop. First time I've used this scope, and it's been sitting in a box, and I'm about to kick myself because I should have had this thing out a lot sooner. It is just straight out, it is awesome. This is a very cool scope. I'm going to be doing a lot more with this. This particular model is the, let me just see, it's the 4-20. Again, zero stop, side focus, illuminated, just very, very awesome. I'll try and get you some scope footage of that because it is very cool. Now, what are we doing today? So there's a lot of talk about slugs and pellets, slugs versus pellets and so forth. And I think there's space for both, but I wanted to kind of do something that kind of let people know what's the advantage. Is there an advantage? So I set up, first thing I did was just kind of get a baseline. Does this gun shoot them well? And we already know this thing's a tack driver and a half with pellets. How's it do with slugs? Well, the 23 grain slugs from H&N shoot pretty well in this gun, actually pretty darn well. We're going to get to exactly how well here in a minute. So I've got a card here. All right, so this was some of my testing I did. You take a look at that shot group there. You take a look at these shot groups, I should say, and you know which is which. Well, this actually here is the pellet group, and this is the slug group. And I was getting that, you know, this is 30 yards. I'm like, okay, maybe slugs are just the ticket because that's obviously a better group. It's pretty impressive. Then I went out to shoot today, and I got kind of varying results. Now, I didn't spend a lot of time on the bench setting things up. I spent a lot of time on the bench for this video, though. So let's move right over to this. So this is my shot card for 30 yards, just doing basic testing. I have my sighters here in the middle. I took my 10-shot group with pellets, and as you can see, there's really no need to shoot anymore. It just drilled it, and I get this all the time. This is just totally consistent, 30 yards all day, that's what I'm getting. Now when I started shooting the slugs, I took my sighter and it was pretty much where I wanted it, so I just started shooting groups. Well, that's where things kind of got a little weird because, you know, I was getting that before. I'm like, okay. But here I started to get some consistency issues. So I wrapped up with this one here. Now that's a pretty doggone good group. And it's going to be equal to what I'm getting with pellets, maybe just a fraction better, but I had to go through several groups to get it. So not quite sure what was going on there. Now that's 30 yards. Really at 30 yards, if you're shooting and you're in your backyard and that's where you're at, there's really zero advantage to you to shoot slugs. In reality, it's actually safer for you to shoot pellets, especially if you're in a neighborhood, because slugs are going to maintain energy. They're going to actually have more pass-through. They're going to be accurate for longer ranges. We'll get to that in a little bit. But if you're shooting in your backyard, you probably really want to stick to pellets because they're probably just going to be safer. And there's zero advantage on the accuracy side if you're running a traditional air gun. Now, if you have a gun that's purpose-built to run slugs, that's going to be a different story. This isn't. This is just a regular old air gun that we're trying to see, is there an advantage to try and run slugs in it? And I bet you most air guns out there today, unless, again, they're purpose-built for slugs, they're really built to shoot pellets very well. So 25 yards, 30 yards, even out to 50 yards, that's our next set of shots here. When you get to that range, I don't really think you have much of an advantage shooting slugs. Let me grab that card now. Okay, so here we go. We go to 50 yards, and this is where the distinction is really negligible, frankly. At 50 yards, slugs and pellets, at least in this gun, shoot about the same. So here's my sight in for pellets and my sight in for slugs. As you can see, I mean, it's pretty much there. Now, my first shot groups here, we're taking a look. These are my pellet groups. Like, that is pretty good. This is really good. I mean, that's under an inch at 50, and that's what this gun does all day long. Again, with pellets, super consistent. Now we switch over to slugs, and it starts to wander a little bit here, but we have this very consistent group too. So 50 yards stays pretty good. I mean, they're pretty equal. So again, 50 yards, is there a big advantage? Well, if your gun is purpose-built to run slugs, probably yes. If you're running a traditional air gun, probably not. And again, if you're in your backyard, pellets are going to be safer. Slugs are going to retain energy, they're going to travel further, and they're going to be more dangerous at range than pellets. Pellets bleed energy very, very quickly. The slugs are going to retain it. All right, so we took this out to 100 yards, and I took my sighters, and I was pretty much where I wanted to be, and these are going to land a little differently. So like the pellets, they're running about 870, 880 with like a 4 foot per second spread across a 10-shot string. So super consistent. The slugs are running 755, 760. Again, 10-shot string, 5 to 6 feet per second spread. That's it. So a lot of consistency regardless of what you're shooting. Now, here's what we're getting at 100 yards. There's our sighters. I knew pretty much where I was going to be, so that was cool. I knew what my holdover was going to have to be. This is the pellet group, okay? And we're looking at, I'm guessing, under 2 inch center to center for sure. This is the slug group, and while it kind of slides over here, the group size, I think, is slightly better. So if I could have moved this down into the bull, I think we would have seen a better representation. But as I'm looking at the back of the card here, this is probably more 1.5 inches, and this is probably more 2 inches. So when you get to 100 yards is where you start seeing the slugs give you a bit of an advantage if they stay consistent. So for giggles, I wanted to shoot another group with slugs, and this is what I got. So we had a couple shots kind of fall low. Now, I don't know what would cause that, if there's a consistency in the manufacturing or whatever it was, but the core of the group is sort of what we got up here. So could have had a couple bad slugs in there, not sure. But the reality is when you start getting past 100 yards, that's where slugs are going to give you greater consistency. So whatever you choose, whether it's pellets or slugs, make sure you know what's behind your target and stay safe. Guys, that's it for now. My name is Rick Utzler. Thanks for watching.